Hey everybody, I'm John Murphy. Welcome to On the Homefront. We're very happy to have you once again here on WILI Live at AM 1400 or 95.3 on the digital FM. As you can see, we also record our shows for the WILI Radio YouTube channel, so you can catch them anytime 24/7. We have a very busy show today. We're going to look at the local art scene with the Spiral Art Studio at the end of our show. It's a couple of doors down from where we are here in downtown Willimantic. It's a great art studio. They're doing a special fundraising event to benefit the Covenant Soup Kitchen later this month. We'll have Daniela De Sousa with us later on in the show. We'll also talk about another one in a series about poetry called Poets at Large that's been going on for a while now in Pomfret at the Vanilla Bean. So we're going to have Karen Warinsky back in the house with a featured poet on the phone, Victor, who'll be joining us in the second part of the show. And right now I'm very happy to open with the Willimantic Farmers Market. They're back in operation now that the seasons are with us. They just finished their first winter farmers market. And sitting next to me we have two folks who are active. We may have a third one joining us, but they're all involved with the market. Sitting right next to me is we have Libby Tarleton. She's from the Russo Roots Farm in Canterbury. She's been with the farmers market now for 9 years. Welcome to the studio. Good to have you on board.
Thanks for having me.
And next to Libby, we have Melanie Desch. She's from the Foliota Farm, and she's also the market manager in her second year. Welcome aboard again. Good to have you here with us.
Thanks for having us.
So maybe a good starting point is, how did the winter go? It was your first time. It's always an experiment to see if enough people would participate. How did it go for you?
It's been a great market so far. We're located at the First Congregational Church at 199 Valley Street, and they have this huge auditorium. So we've been able to have some fresh produce for most of the winter, mushrooms, microgreens, maple syrup, all the goodies. And we've been getting good support from the community.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what it means to the farmers in the area to have a local place to go? Because for them, they grow it inside, but they have to have places for them to economically make it work. So how is it on the grower side?
It's definitely nice to have a winter place to send some veggies, and people are usually craving the greens that time of year.
Sure.
Because you still want to get local, but it's not as easy to get to it, so having a winter market really helps with that. And the community in Willimantic has so much support for the local farms that sometimes it can be risky to do that kind of thing, just because people are busy and maybe they don't come out when it's cold and the weather doesn't cooperate as much. But Willimantic is great. I mean, people come out in all weather, so we love having that there. So to be able to extend the market has been fantastic. And we grow certified organic vegetables, and so we had the greens there this winter, and so it really, everyone came out for the greens. They wanted their spinach.
Yeah, well, people are as hardy as the plants.
Yes. Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah. So now they're moving operations just down the street here on Bridge Street, which is their usual location. So kind of give us a preview of your summer season. You kick off the next farmers market is in May.
Yeah, so May 11th, we'll be setting up at Whitewater Park on Bridge Street.
Yeah.
And that's Mother's Day weekend. So from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., we're going to have over 21 vendors joining us this season. We are a producer-only market, so everything is grown in Connecticut or produced in Connecticut. We're going to have a food truck there. The Friends of the Library will be joining us once a month, so you can go and get free books as well. But there's going to be a lot of fresh produce, flowers, local meat, and everything you need to do your grocery shopping.
Can you talk about some of the vendors and some of the farmers that are there and they're trying to contribute to the economy? Who's there this season?
For the farmers, we have 4 vegetable farmers there. Right. There's us, Russo's Roots. We've got, I'm trying to think of...
There's a Field Engineer Farm.
Field Engineer Farm, Bluebird Hill Farm, and Rachel's Berries, I think it's called. And those are our vegetable farmers. But then we also have meat and some bread, and we have a few other farmers as well. So Kindred Crossing does meat, Swampy Acre has meat, and they tend to have lamb, beef, pork, chicken. You can get eggs there as well. We have a bee farmer. You wouldn't think of bees as being a livestock, but they are. So we have Shuk's Apiary there as well. So we've got a lot to offer people.
Local honey, local pollen. It's the best combination in the world, right? Got to have that.
That's right.
Also, you should jot down the website because they'll be giving information all season long, and it's an easy one to remember because it's their name, WillimanticFarmersMarket.org. So, just jot that one down. You'll be all set. What else is on the website for people to learn about what you're doing? What can they learn about you folks?
Well, one of the programs we offer is SNAP matching at the farmers market.
Right.
So we do share information about that on our website, but the best way to find out more is to actually come and speak to us at market. We have a market tent right at the entrance, and that's where we have an EBT machine where you can run your SNAP benefits. And then we match up to $20 for fresh vegetables and fruits at the market. So that means if you want to take out $20 of your SNAP, you can actually spend $40 at the market that day.
Wow, that's
and
fantastic.
Those do hold over, so you can come back, every week and match your SNAP again, but you can also accumulate them. So sometimes you want to spend more, sometimes you want to spend a little less. They last all season long.
Yeah, that's a real benefit for some families. It's one of the sweet things about better weather. This can really help the family budget a lot. Yeah.
And the Willimantic Co-op right now for the month of April is offering a roundup for the farmers market for EBT. So if you go to the co-op and buy your groceries, round up for the Willie Market, and that funds go towards supporting our SNAP program.
Yeah. So, do you have a need? In terms of running, it's so much work for volunteers to lend a hand. Every event has a labor force. The farmers help set up their own things, but you have to set up a space for them to go to. So how do you navigate all that work each time?
Well, we do have 3 staff members at the farmers market every week. So that's myself. I'm kind of managing things.
Of course.
But there's also someone that is at our EBT tent.
Right.
So that's our SNAP assistant. And then we also have a parking assistant.
Mm-hmm.
We are always looking for volunteers. So if you're interested in helping out at the market, please reach out to us by email. Our email is williefarmersmarket@gmail.com. And we can find some work for you to do this summer.
And a lot of our staff speak Spanish. They're bilingual. Not all the farmers are, not all the vendors are, but all of our staff are. So anyone who speaks Spanish only, we can definitely accommodate that, particularly with our SNAP tent.
I know one of the nice things we've been covering now in the last few months is we have a Latino Chamber of Commerce now, and we've had some of those businesses that have been around for a while, but they're getting ready to grow. We've had some of the folks from Click, some food startups that are trying to get new food items out. So it's a really interesting time for people trying to figure out how to make a living off different aspects of the food economy. What's it been like the last few years on the farmer's side now? Apart from the unpredictable weather and some of the, you're laughing because you're not crying.
That's all
right?
of it. That's all of it.
Okay,
Not a part of it.
That's it. Okay, end of interview. We're done. So how's it been like in terms of the economics of working with food?
It's been interesting. It's a little bit of a roller coaster. We moved to Connecticut back in 2015.
From where?
At the time we were on Long Island.
Oh, okay.
But we weren't originally from there, but that's where we'd been farming. And so the food scene had really exploded down there, and people were very interested in local, and we moved up to Canterbury.
Okay.
And it was a little bit slower. There wasn't quite as big of a food scene there, but a lot of people were interested in supporting local businesses, not just farms, but local businesses in general.
Yeah.
So that was great. And then when COVID happened, a lot of people wanted to know where their food was going to be coming from. And so that was a ton of people started to be really interested in agriculture, food, whatever type, even local supplies, what they were getting. And so that really helped our businesses in that way. It's kind of plateaued since then, but having the Willimantic Farmers Market still gets our name out there so that people can, see that we're there. And it is truly one of those rural to urban markets where you get a lot of rural farmers coming to an urban area, which I know that's kind of exaggerating. Maybe it's not. Maybe people in Willimantic don't necessarily feel that they're urban. But for the farmers who are coming from the surrounding towns,
you
it
betcha.
is more of that. Yeah.
You betcha. It's the big city.
I have heard somebody say that.
I know. Well, yeah, Willimantic goes by many names. But the other thing is, the economics of keeping food local. But also, are you finding people are willing to pay a little bit more for organic today? They're more aware of what that means. Because there's so much processing going on everywhere that either adds things you don't really need, and they have to add it because they're shipping it 2,000 miles. Yeah. But people are thinking more about their food. What are you seeing in customers and their aspects?
I think local is still a higher priority than organic. So if somebody knows you and has met you, they're okay with it not being certified organic, just as long as they know how it was grown and can ask you questions. For certified organic, it helps for the people who don't know you. so that they don't have to, if they can't ask you those questions, then they already know what your standards are. And so for us, having the certification was important for that aspect, besides that we've been farming for forever, even before there was a certification process. So for us, it was a natural progression. But I think having it as an addition does help us with our sales. Do we get more? We could. Do we try to? Not as much as, depends on where we are. A lot of times we just try, we look at our numbers so that we can still be affordable for people.
Well, for some people, the fact that it's local is good because it means it hasn't traveled 2,000 miles. So that's another whole ethical value, too. Yeah. Do you rotate crops or change the soil conditions sometimes? How do you deal with the chemistry of that?
Yeah, so whether it's flowers, vegetables, animals on pasture, you're always worried about your soils. And so you're always treating them in this, whichever way that you're working towards. So for us, it means soil testing. It means crop rotations. It means managing insect pests, managing disease, everything like that. And so we're always looking towards a healthier soil so we have healthier plants.
So Melanie, how long have you been farming and what's been your experience in this area? You're smiling right away.
So I've been farming, I'm entering our third season of farming. So we're a new farm in Mansfield Center, and I grow flowers and herbs, and it's been incredible. I mean, we have a very small piece of land, so it's a very non-traditional farm. We're kind of in a very residential area in Mansfield Center, but with flowers, we just pack everything really tight, and we kind of are opening up little plots everywhere on our property. So our property is just 1.5 acres in size, and we grow on about 1/4 acre of that. But
it's probably a basic question, but if people go to your website, can they link to the farms and figure out where people are located, where the food comes from? Yes.
Yeah, we do have all of our vendors listed on our website, and we keep that really up to date so you can find out, which producers are going to be at market and where you can find them if not at market, because not everyone can make it there from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Saturday.
Of course, that's right. But those that can benefit from that. Yeah. Plus, with all the things happening with the Whitewater Park getting closer to reality, they've had so many steps along the way. Boy, when that thing takes off, you're going to be in heaven with all that activity there. People are still figuring out what's going on with that park.
Yeah, we're excited. And we've been working with them, quite a bit over the past year so that they kind of know what our goals are. And we really just want to bring more people to the park and to the river, which there's like the best views of the Willimantic River from Whitewater Park.
Oh, yeah. If people stop to take a look, it's a win-win. It's a big win-win. So the smiles are coming for that too, right?
Yeah.
All right. So again, the website is willimanticfarmersmarket.org. And I want to thank our guests today. We've had Melanie Desch, the market manager, as well as Libby Tarleton from Carleton. She's one of the farmers involved from Russo's Roots. I wish you a great growing season and a very successful market this year. We'll look forward to having you back in the summer. We'll see how things are going.
Perfect. Great.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
Great to have you back. Okay, so we'll take a short break now here on the Homefront, a couple of messages, and we'll come right back and talk about poetry. Stay with us. Alrighty, we're back live on the Homefront here on WILI. Very happy to have you with us. If you'd like to join us for a future program, if you want to tell your story, we'd love to have you here in the house. Just send us an email and we'll figure out the best time for you to visit. It's john@humanartsmedia.com as the email. In the third part of the show today, we're going to talk about a wonderful local art gallery, the Spiral Art Studio, right here on Main Street, Willimantic. Daniela De Sousa is doing a special Empty Bowls event at the end of April to raise funds for the Covenant Soup Kitchen. So she'll be our last part of the show today in a few minutes. But right now, I'm happy to have poetry back in the house again with Karen Warinsky. She's been curating a wonderful series in Pomfret at the Vanilla Bean called Poetry at Large, Poets at Large. And we have a little phone noise in the background there.
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from.
We have one of the featured poets with us here who is from Massachusetts, but I think the noise is a little better now. But Karen, welcome back to the studio. It's always nice to share with you.
Well, it's nice to be back. Thank you for having us again.
So we have a couple of special events related to poetry poetry, and one happens to coincide with the opening of the baseball season, so I'll just say play ball.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm going to pitch this.
Oh, you had
There,
to say
now we're
it.
done.
She had to say it. Okay.
I was contacted by some people who asked me to be on the publicity committee this year, and I did read in the open mic last year, which was a lot of fun. So there's a man out in California, his name is Mark Sickman, and he has created the National Baseball Poetry Festival, and it's in Worcester. This will be the second time they're having it, and there's also a contest, a poetry contest, that youth and adult poets are invited to submit their baseball-themed poems to this contest. And I'm just going to give you the website that you can go on to find out all the details, because it would be a lot to read. But 4th grade to 12th graders, little leaguers are eligible, and then there's a college category and a youth category, or rather an adult category. So they'll be published on baseballbard.com, and if you're curious about what's on there already from last year, you go check that out. But the deadline to submit your poems for the 2024 contest is before noon on April 17th, so that's next week.
That's right.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. As well, if you are a poet and you have some poems that are Worcester themed or baseball themed, and it can be a loose connection. Like, for example, let's say you tried to play baseball and it made you realize you're a writer. That's fair. That's fair game. Oh, I can't help this.
Oh man,
sorry,
Victor. She's out of control
I'm
already.
out of control. So,
oh my God.
The open mic for adults is Saturday night, May 4th, 7 to 10 p.m. And again, go to baseballpoetryfest.org to find out all the details. And it's free to go. We're going to be in a couple little establishments up there in town, and last year it was really fun. So that's happening.
I'm so glad you're keeping baseball alive for the next generation. That's awesome, though. I love baseball. It's so good that you're doing it. You know, to have a kid write about baseball and get it out there is a wonderful thing.
I think a lot of people are interested in the sport. I come at it from a different angle. I just had an expertise in publicity and public relations, so they asked me to join in. And I had some Worcester-themed poems because I have my heart is in Worcester sometimes. So, also though, what we're doing is April 27th. At the Vanilla Bean, 7 to 9. And there's 3 featured poets. So Victor, who we'll speak with in a minute, and also Candace Curran and Janet McFadden will be featured that night. And they have a piece called Rocking the Boat. That's the story of childhood trauma and abuse, breaking the silence around that, and also becoming strong and healing from it. Curran has said that she's had many people come up to her afterward and thank her, say, I didn't know people knew my story. How did you know? So it's prevalent. And what's interesting is these 2 women are going to read it in a Volta style, which means there'll be 2 microphones. They'll be each on a microphone, and it's kind of a seamless back and forth, no titles to the pieces, just one to the other. And
is it like a call and response, or is it more orchestrated than even that?
They do have some that respond to each other. They are responding to each other, but not as directly as that. Not as directly as that. And then just to say another little bit about this, so they're going to, each take turns at the mic, read 6 or 7 poems at a time in conversation, and it moves pretty quickly. Miss Curran has said it's a string of relatable short stories, not necessarily biographical. However, she believes poets are in every poem they write in some way. And McFadden said she was moved to work on this theme because of what she had not yet said aloud in her life. So some of it is biographical, and some of it is just from things that they have knowledge of. So that's happening. And then we have Victor, who's going to be in our interview here right now. And let me tell you a little bit about him. So Victor Infante has published poetry and fiction in numerous publications. He's the author of a full-length collection called City of Insomnia from Right Bloody Publishing. He's won 5 NENPA awards for arts and entertainment reporting. He's been a nominee 5 years in a row for the Boston Music Awards, Music Journalist of the Year, and he is the features editor for the Telegram and Gazette and the editor of Worcester Magazine, and I'm happy to call him an acquaintance of mine. So that's Victor.
Victor, welcome aboard. It's really great to have you with us today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I really I learned a bit more about your work and your connection to journalism and culture, and the fact that you connect deeply to fiction writing and poetry makes it for a very interesting way to look at a blank page for you. Can you talk about how you approach the different media and how the audiences are sometimes very different, and how you paint with words in different forms?
I spent a lot of time wondering about that myself.
I bet.
And I think at the end of the day, I find that the differences are more ephemeral than most people give them credit for. Because ultimately, if you look at a newspaper story, let's look at a feature story, which is what I do.
Wow.
And if you are... if you strip everything away, you have the exact same skeleton as a short story. Now, there are differences because one has to be absolutely true. I won't say which one, but you can guess.
And you got to have your lead, right? You got to have your lead.
Yeah, but you've got to have a lead. You've got to show a change, because a short story, especially a feature story where nothing changes over the course of the story, is almost pointless. There's no reason to read it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true for both fiction and journalism. Poetry is a little different, because poetry, you are ultimately, and this is me speaking in certain school of thought, you are capturing a moment as opposed to a moment of change, as opposed to showing a change over time.
Mm-hmm.
You are looking for where that emotion hits.
And Victor, wouldn't you say too that it's a place where you don't have to get hung up on facts? You don't have You don't have to overload a poem with facts, but there's a truth in there that's going to come out in what you're saying.
Exactly. There should be an emotional truth, at least to what you're saying on some level. I know a lot of people, especially a lot of younger poets today, trend towards autobiographical. I'm not necessarily in that camp, though there is some of that, but I will meld, in poetry, I will meld events, I will meld people, just to make everything communicate more clearly to the reader. But anyway, when you're using metaphor or similes or, rhythmic language in prose, it's not so dissimilar to writing a poem. So there's a lot of connections between all of them.
Victor, would you say that you have a particular subject matter that you keep going back to, or a theme that keeps coming up in your work?
Oh, goodness. Yes. Several of them, actually. Probably the paramount one would be my father's death. My father was murdered when I was 2 years old in a street crime.
Wow.
I've written about it a lot at this juncture. But that's what most of City of Insomnia is about. So that, as a poet, that was sort of the genesis of what brought me to poetry, is finding a way to cope with that. Even as a teenager, years later.
I can understand that too. For some people, being at ground zero is a launching pad that you didn't expect, but all of a sudden you're launched.
Oh, it's even worse when it's that young, because you realize you were launched 14 years before, and you're finally just kind of catching up with it at that point.
Good point.
But it's not the only thing I write about. I have my share of love poems. Music, as a journalist, music has been my preoccupation for the past 20-something years, going on 30. Maybe longer at this point, actually, now that I think about it. I've spent the majority of my career as a journalist as a music critic. That is the other side of my brain. So, and I've done other things too, but those are probably the polarities that have driven my entire writing career for a couple decades now.
And Victor, do you do a lot of political poetry, or any political poetry, do you think?
I do. I less so these days for a lot of reasons. I don't like poets. I don't want to like sit there and write a poem about a political candidate. In part because my employer has kind of restrictions on what I can and can't say in public about issues, for fear of compromising journalistic integrity.
Sure.
There's some of that. That being said, I can't say that things don't come out. But I try to keep everything on a human level when I'm writing something that is ostensibly political. I try to look at people and not rhetoric, not issues.
I just want to mention for the radio folks, if you're joining us right now, we're talking about the Poets at Large series underway at the Vanilla Bean in Pomfret, and they have an event coming up Saturday, April 27th, and we're on the phone right now with Victor Infante, who's one of the featured speakers, and I'm here in the studio today with Karen Warinsky. Victor, could you preview some of the material you might be sharing at the event, some of the stuff you're getting ready?
Sure. I've got two months ahead of me on my screen ahead of me. Would you like something maybe with a little bit of bite to it, or something very nice?
How about some bite?
What's a bite? Okay, I knew Karen was going to go for that.
That's why she's here. I love her good taste. Bite.
Okay. This is called I Never Knew Bukowski and Most of Our Mutual Friends Are Dead. There's a shot of bourbon waiting for me at the Reno Room in Long Beach, California. Not my favorite bar, not the seedy dive it appears in Buch's poems, but the ones where all the young poets went to chase his ghost, like he was shuffling back there between the pool tables and the upscale Mexican food. Even Long Beach changes. Even Worcester changes. Even all these working-class towns I felt so comfortable in transmute to something new over time, that or face extinction. In Worcester, there's a tapas bar where Emma Goldman's ice cream shop once stood. The restaurant actually is one of my favorites, although the prices make me plot sedition. I don't think about anarchy when I'm eating there, at least not often. There's not likely many alive who remember Emma Goldman personally. She died 80 years ago. Bukowski died in 1994. I knew lots of people who knew him. A lot of those folks are gone now, lost to cancer or COVID, or moved to Vegas, which is practically the same. People only get to transform so many times before we expire, before we vanish into the stories of those we leave behind, and when they're gone, if we're lucky, our work remains. Buch's poems don't care if I was hit or miss with them. They'll live on regardless. I like France's poems better, and I worry her writing will vanish with each tide. I like Jerry Loughlin's poems too, but he planted so many they'll be turning up for decades. Some days, I don't like anything I've written, but that makes no difference as to whether any of those words survive or not. That one's not up to me. Will the young poets ever turn up at Nick's in Worcester looking for my ghost? Will they buy a Manhattan because they know that's what I drank there? Will it change by then? Quirky cabaret bar transformed by proximity to a baseball stadium? Who knows? Nothing to do with me. By the time that all happens, I'll be somewhere else, maybe haunting a bar that was never my favorite, drinking whiskey in another time, another place, when everything was filled with starlight.
Oh, that's really good. We're going to snap on that.
Thank you. Snaps. I think I should have pre-recorded applause that Matthew can hit, like a sound effect. Well, that's a nice taste of what's going to be happening. Again, this is Saturday, April 27th from 7 to 9, part of a series, Poets at Large. There's one more to go in May. Do you want to give us a quick preview before we say goodbye for April?
It's two women, Catherine D'Annunzio and newer writer Amy Heller. I think that's correct. I hope I didn't bring the names with me, but that's going to be a unique show. I usually try to put gentlemen in, but the two gals were available. So that's May 25th. And again, that's 7 to 9, $15 admission, which includes a giveaway. And of course, the Vanilla Bean has food, drink.
It's a wonderful place.
Very cozy. Roseland Park is coming. Those dates are June 16th, September 15th. And I'm not really, didn't bring all that material with me, but I'll be back.
You betcha.
And the Roseland Park readings, of course, are free because our sponsors help us with that.
That's right.
But yeah, May 25th, and then I may have a big announcement in June. So we'll see about that, if I'm ready to announce that or not.
Well,
but I'm super excited about April. I think April's going to be a powerful show, with Janet and Candace and Victor all together in the same space. It's going to be amazing. So if you haven't gone, this is one to jump in on. And it's National Poetry Month, so why not celebrate?
There you go.
There we go.
So, Victor, thank you again for joining us. I wish you a great reading and a good season ahead. I wish you well.
Thank you very much for having me.
Take care now. All righty. And if you'd like to learn more about Karen's work, she has a nice site through WordPress. It's KarenWarinskyPoetry.wordpress.com. Karen, Karen, Warinsky, Warinsky, poetry.wordpress.com, and you can get access to all of her great writings as well. So, Karen, thanks for all the work you do throughout the year to support the Word and sharing the words, and we'll look forward to having you back in May.
Well, we're very appreciative that Poets at Large can be promoted on this site, so thanks so much.
You betcha, you betcha. Okay, and coming up soon will be the Curbstone series joining us too in the summertime. The Curbstone folks are right down the street here. Okay, the clock is running. We're going to have Daniela De Sousa coming up in just a couple seconds. We're going to do some history now. Almost 50 years, 1944. One of the queens of R&B and rock and roll, one of the queens. This is Sister Rosetta Tharpe. We're also on the station's YouTube channel. All of our 5 o'clock shows are available for 24-hour access on your phone, on your laptop, so you can always get access to our guests and their great stories. And coming up sometime soon, we're hoping for April or May, our show's going to be airing on another radio station. WICH is based in Norwich, and they cover Norwich and New London. So we're going to be able to reach the whole eastern half of the state now with our show. We're really happy about that. It's a way to reach more people. And I'm real happy to have Daniela De Sousa in the studio again. It's been a while since she's been here. She's got a wonderful art studio a couple of doors away from us right here at 750 Main Street called the Spiral Art Studio. And she's been there about a year and a half. And she's here today about a special event that she's doing. It's a fundraiser. And it's coming up April 27th, I believe, right?
24th.
24th. That's why she's here. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can share what this is about, and it's kind of an international thing called Empty Bowls. So it's a real international thing.
Yeah, so Empty Bowls is a grassroots initiative to raise funds to deal with issues of food shortages. So our ceramic studio is going to produce all of the bowls, and the community makes soup. And you can come in and buy a bowl, a really nicely crafted, made in Willimantic bowl.
That's right. Homegrown.
Right. And all the restaurants in town will be donating soup. And you get to have soup and break bread with your neighbors. And all the proceeds go to the Covenant Soup Kitchen.
Right. So now the studio is here year-round, and there's a website that you can learn a lot more about different programs to learn arts. It's spiralartsstudio.com. Talk about some of the workshops, because you work with young people, you work with adults in different media, and you've just gotten a grant. I want to congratulate you, too. You got a grant to upgrade some of your equipment. So talk about how things are for 2024 for you.
Well, we do offer ceramic classes for adults. This summer we're going to be offering some classes and workshops for younger people too, 10 and up. Soon I would like to be offering for younger children as well, between the ages of 5 and 10, but then we're waiting for the space downstairs from the studio to open up. And then if you like to do that. If you like to work with clay and make ceramic sculptures or functional wares, pottery, we also offer a membership. So with the membership, you get access to the studio 24/7 and storage space, and we have a pool of glazes and kilns that are constantly running.
Right.
So that's how we operate mainly.
Now, Daniela's been here at her location now about a year and a half, but for 5 years before, she was on Yonge Street, just across the river here in town. How is it like for you to start out this is a brand new thing for you, 5 years you started your own studio, as a business venture, trying to deal with the economics of art, not just a hobby. How was that transition for you to try to look at it as a business?
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
I was not trained for it. When we got the space across the Frog Bridge, we just really wanted to share. It was really cheap, and we just had this urge to share how much we loved doing what we're doing. We had the space to do that, so we grew a community, and when the pandemic was winding down, I decided that I wanted to do that full time, and moving here to Main Street was always a vision.
Sure.
But that also was going to require, more understanding of business and making it work. And I don't know. I just make. I don't know how I do it yet. I just really enjoy, and I try to make it as. So the space is really a community space that it's almost like an installation that keeps changing with the people as they come in and take ownership of the space. So it's kind of my masterpiece.
Well, that's a vision that becomes real as you have it here first, because unlike some galleries, she has the front area when you come in, and that's where art is on display. You can buy pieces, and artists have their sections. And then in the back is where art is created, and that space is where you can participate. And I also want you to mention you work with education. You teach at Eastern. You taught at QVCC. Can you talk about some of your work in education and arts?
I taught K through 12 art for almost 10 years, and then I also teach ceramics and sculpture and 3D design at Eastern.
Right.
And last year, I started a partnership with QVCC as they opened reopened or came back to the Main Street building.
Right.
Because they don't have the facilities here, so the students that live in Willimantic, it can't really make it to Danos and didn't have access to those classes, right? So I was across the street, so we do this partnership where I can teach credit courses for QVCC for ceramics at Spiral Arts. Did I say that?
Yeah.
Coherently? Okay.
Yeah.
And that has been a wonderful partnership. I really enjoyed doing that. Eastern is also a great segue for Spiral Arts, or the other way around works as well. I have students.
Kind of mutual.
Yeah. Students that want to continue to practice and are, the studio there sometimes doesn't accommodate. There's so many classes being taught in the same classroom. They can also come to Spiral Arts and continue their practice, and also grow community and exhibit their work to the community at large, and participate in what other artists are doing. Some art students come from mentoring to start their own careers, and that's a great back and forth that's happening. Yeah.
One thing that's really nice to share is you have another story of people believing that downtown Willimantic is coming back after years and years of decline. People are investing, and I wondered, after going through the process of saying this is more than a hobby now, it's going to be a path for maybe business and a studio. So when you came to Main Street, what a great location.
Yeah.
Beautiful. But then you have more expenses, a little higher rent because you're in a better place, right?
Yes.
So that gets the business model rolling. So I wonder, what was it that gave you confidence that downtown Willimantic was growing enough for you to feel like you could be part of that wave? Because a lot of people are trying to catch that wave now. Something is happening here. And I wondered how you thought that through about the downtown area.
Well, the space that we were before was really not all grown up. You know, I just couldn't grow there, but there was demand for it.
Well, it was a factory space, right?
It was a factory space.
Right, it was converted, right.
Right. And I really felt that I needed more space and more infrastructure in the space that space did not have. So coming to Main Street gave us that opportunity because I was already growing on the other side there. So there was demand for, I think ceramics is like trendy again or something that, people are interested in. I think the growing community is also a big piece that I believe people were searching for, to like-minded people, a creative space, a space where you can hang out but also make things, and that I think was it's a growing demand period, and I think we're fulfilling that need that way. Yeah.
Something else I see in town is more cultural mixing, more variety of things. Do you think art is a platform for that diversity to happen naturally? Because it doesn't matter where you're coming from. This is your modality. And so in your work, do you see that mix sometimes? How that
Absolutely,
happens?
yeah. We have a great diversity in town, but in the studio, it's reflecting that, and we get to know each other and learn from each other and inspire each other that way. The art is definitely a great platform for that, no doubt. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I want to mention the event again is coming up April 24th. At the Spiral Art Studio, 750 Main Street.
No, the event is at the Senior Center, the Wyndham Senior Center.
Please, thank you for correcting me.
Yes, 5 to 7 p.m. at the Wyndham Senior Center. We'll have our Empty Bowls event where you can come in and buy a bowl and soup will be provided. There'll be a range of $5 to $20 bowls. So if you have a large family, is okay. You can come with all of them. That will be enough soup. The soup's going to be delicious. There's all the restaurants in town. I want to say thank you to Willie Brew and Stone Row, and I should have had a list in front of me for that, but Cordova and Cinco de Mayo and Rosa Gallos. And I'm sure I am not mentioning all of them, so I apologize, but I will have a big list of all the restaurants that are donating soup. The food co-op is helping as well, and there will be some music. I believe Arnaldo Rivera is going to be coming in to play, not with the whole band, but nonetheless.
Not the whole band, tend to, but half the, okay.
Yes. And I also would like to mention an event that we're going to have at Spiral Arts at 750 Main, May 31st, where Chris Biodri and his jazz trio is going to come and play for us for a couple hours, and we're going to provide some drawing materials. We're calling the event Draw That Jazz. You can bring your own line, and I think that'll be a really fun time. So please check out at spiralartsstudio.com for more details, or just give me a call. My phone number is on the website as well. And that's all.
And also they have a Facebook page. So that's the 24th at the community center. The studio is 750 Main. I wish you a great season ahead, Danny. Thanks for all the work you're doing for the arts in our area. And also congratulations on that grant. It's going to give you more equipment to do more kinds of training. And I wish you great success.
Thank you so much, John.
Okay. Alrighty, our time flies on the home front. We'll see you next week. Thanks very much for sharing your time with us. Take care.